Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on El Dorado. Now spawning right here with the little polar bear on the main command center. We have the World Champion of StarCraft 2 and his username is Clem. His opponent, an absolute fan favorite, hailing from South Korea with the red Zerg drones. We're looking at the Dark's main hatchery. Dark going up against Clem in a best of 3 series. I mean, if you're a fan of StarCraft, these are absolute superstars. Clem, generally speaking, not a very chaotic player at all. A very Excel spreadsheet focused type of player, right? He plays very efficient styles. And while he does mix it up every once in a while, usually stock standard Terran gameplay is what we can expect from the man right over here. Dark does have the, possibility to play that approach, but Dark is a dirty man. Dark, ever since he grew out that facial hair in particular, he's just been playing filthy StarCraft. It's been some time, but he has been playing some very aggressive, very nasty build orders, and I'm here for it, man. It's a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, he's a fantastic macro player too, but it's not really his approach as of late. One of the builds he's been playing in this matchup is a gasless triple hatch opener. I don't know if it's good. We have seen some players go for, remember that series I did between Bjorn and Dark on this exact same map? Where Bjorn decided to proxy 3 barracks right over here? You just sort of die. You just sort of lose the game. So this is once more, Dark going for a very quick third hatchery. Building it in that triangular position over here in the bottom section below the golden wall. And he's going to be able to get away with it in this particular game, but it is certainly a bit risky. It means that he's going to have slow Zerglings and Queens for the time being. Clem is immediately going to scout for this. He will notice here that the mineral fields have been mined out, and he will just confirm that indeed that base is planted right over there. And just by seeing the timing of it, he knows that this is a gasless opener here for Dark. 9 out of 10 times this leads towards a Roach follow-up for Dark. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that production tab, but I do believe that this is going to be Roaches as well. Clem knows at this point that there's not a whole lot he can really do about it, so we're gonna dance. Dance with the Reaper. Not really until the Queen is out is this a solved engagement. Neither player, though, really taking any damage. Well, we're going back in. Lings obviously regen slowly over time. The Reaper will also regenerate pretty quickly. Much faster in general than the Zerglings, but it's because of that passive, the combat drugs that they have, the passive ability that allows them to regenerate very rapidly. Third command center though coming up right here for Clem before the starport. Starport is going to get a little tech lab on it, it seems, although, no, it's not what we have. We're going to go into a double barracks opener. So this is triple hatch into what will probably be a 2-1-1 or a 3-1-1. There's a couple of different variations. A couple different flavors of Terran. We'll have to keep an eye out. This kind of looks like a normal build. Dark, though, has already seen what's up. He's just going to go back for a second little look-see. Otto the Overlord is going to sacrifice himself. Although at this point, he should be able to sail away, because the mineral fields over here have not been mined out yet. For the Terran player. Oh, the drone could have had it. The drone could have had it. Alrighty. Now, where is this command center gonna go? This map has been very aggressive across the board, because most players seem to favor the bottom section of the map. And if you kind of disregard, well, basically this entire area that I'm trying to circle on the minimap, if you the map becomes really small. We have to start mining out these mineral fields pretty soon here as Terran. Alternatively, you can expand up here. Usually that would mean we're going to see a much longer game. But it's really up to Clem to see what type of game he wants to play. Roach Warren is indeed going to be the weapon of choice right here. Starport is going to finish, so it's a 2-1-1 with a third command center. And we should see some medevac production here in just a moment. All the roads do eventually lead towards bio. Yep. And we are shortening the map quite a lot. It looks like Clem also is going to take up shop over here at the bottom. That means that there's 2 more contested expansions. I guess there's technically 3, yeah. One of the reasons to expand in this direction is because you can plant the base right over here. Much like what Dark is already doing. So Dark actually has gone for very rapid economy. If you look at the worker count right now, we're already up to 62. That's mostly due to that gasless build. Super quick third hatch. Entirely gasless. Dark has effectively been untouched here in the early game. This is about as greedy as Zerg can ever play. We've only had 6 links to deal with the very first Reaper, and that's it. Queens are coming up right now. Now the Roach production does begin. Do you transfer drones? I wouldn't mind seeing a little drone transfer, although you do have to be careful of any Hellions that might go through the top of the map. Yeah, Dark has about as many Zerglings as he's got hatcheries at this point. Let that sink in for a little bit. This is very greedy. Now, usually, I'm inclined to imagine that at that point, when you get away with all that greed, which seems to be the case right now, that this game is in the bag, right? Like, you've already taken your chances, and clearly, you've won the eco game. Then again, Clem has also been pretty greedy. Third base is now mining, over in the triangle position. Hellion attack over at that third base, but there were only a couple of Hellions in this game. And they're gonna get destroyed. Marines going in around the back again. Yeah, and this is lovely movement here by Clem, though. He knows that Roaches are really slow. Link speed coming up right now. Roach speed coming up right now together with +1/+1. So this is a real attack that is in the making. At least he could go for an attack as soon as those upgrades finish up. He's also got an infestation pit. I don't see a Hydra den or anything like that, so... Not exactly sure what the plan of the infestation pit is. I guess we're gonna just go straight into a hive. Maybe build a couple of Vipers. Usually the follow-up for Terran is going to be, yep, a second factory with a tech lab at the back. So you go into the double siege tank production. Nidus? Are we going to go Swarm Host? Swarm Host against Bio-Terran is... I mean, I don't want to be a jerk. Oh my god, we're doing it. I don't want to be a jerk about it. But Swarm Host against Bio-Terran, so an infantry-based army, is what we consider to be garbage. Yeah, absolute trash. Because Marines can just gun down the Locust before they even ever hit the ground. Now, obviously, there is that surprise, right? Where Clem has no idea about it, because Zergs never do this because it's garbage. So there, there is that weird moment where there is a chance, I guess... Oh, does he see it? Oh, he saw a glimpse of it. I don't know if he saw... the thick little backs right there of those Swarm Hosts. Well, Nidus Worm is gonna go down over at the natural expansion of Clem. He does have a bunch of Marines sitting over here. Yeah, one man's garbage can be another man's treasure, right? So maybe it's not the end of the world. Well, the Nidus is going to unload right now. Clem was already running towards the main base. Keep in mind that command centers can fly. I think you just gunned this down. Yeah, okay. So this first wave needs to be good. And I think that was about as good as it was ever going to be. Clem did not really pull those SCVs far away enough. Well, that was it. I don't think he's really going to be able... That was actually better than I thought it was going to be. He should have only lost like 3 SCVs. He just, like, for some reason, he like grabbed the SCVs, right-clicked this mineral field, and then they scattered around again. The Marine's not quite in the perfect spot to intercept that wave. So what do you do now with those units, though? I guess you can kind of continue raining a couple of Locust. Nidus Worm goes up in the back of the main base. Marines are running over in this direction, but decide that they have to be used at the front instead. Surprise garbage! I don't even think Dark assumed that this was gonna go up, but... There you go. Let's throw a bunch of those units down. Okay, so my main concern is when the Terran maxes out, what in the world is Dark going to do about it? Because Clem's army is going to be miles better than that of the Zerg. The main issue with Roach Ravager Swarm Host is that you're maxed out extremely quickly. That can be a real strength, but when you're at 200 supply, that's as far as you can go. This is a very cheap army that is very supply heavy, so your ultimate force is just not that good. Clem is now at 180 supply and already, well, I would say even crossing over the opponent's army value. Marines are gonna get a big power spike as well from 2-2. Dark needs to get something done pretty quickly. Those corrosive balls were decent. That's a siege tank, a little lucky as well. Oh, Swarmos gets stuck over here at the bottom. I think that's actually... they don't really mind getting stuck in that spot. There's so many siege tanks, though. So many Marines, so many siege tanks. Yeah. This is by no means the cleanest game from Clem. And this was the absolute greediest Zerg build you could start with here as Dark. But he also got about as much value with that first Locust Wave as he was ever going to get. But it still doesn't work. So if you ever wondered, hey, Lowko, why don't we ever see Swarm Hosts against Terran? Well, we see them against Terran Mech. Not so much against Terran Bio, though. This kind of feels like Dark is maybe either feeling desperate, or he's feeling like this is a genuinely good strategy, but I honestly doubt it. It's not technically over yet, but there's just really no way that Dark is going to be able to stabilize here. GG gets cold. Game number 1 goes in favor of Clem. As the Terran saying goes, you don't look a gift Swarm Host in the mouth. There is a moment where maybe you want to doubt your opponent's skill set. But Clem looked at that, he's like, yo, thank you very much, buddy. Thank you very much. It was a very nice thing of you to give me, yeah, what in my mind is a win on a silver platter. I mean, it could have worked, right? There is a world, I guess, where maybe Clem would have messed up tremendously, and at that point I would have been praising Dark's amazing strategic decision-making, but I think if you run a Bio-Terran against a Roach Ravager Swarm Host build a million times, assuming you have, like, a perfect AI playing against a perfect AI, I think that the Terran player wins basically every single time. Yeah. So anyways, now we find ourselves on Amygdala. Dark once more, opening up Gasless. Looks like we're gonna go into the good old 18 pool. And that's it. No, never mind. Maybe? What are we doing? Are we gonna go triple hatch before pool? Really? No. No. Okay. Thought for a second he wanted to make a third hatchery before ever planting down a pool. He's just scouting for proxies. It's been pretty uncommon, I guess, to build a bunch of barracks on the other side of the map, but now that Clem is leading the series 1-0, you may as well go and have a little look around, because this is, of course, what Beyond did not too long ago. We do see wins every once in a while, of course, with Swarm Hosts. But Swarm Hosts are certainly a unit composition that falls off the longer the game goes on. Against Protoss, you can sometimes keep them contained for a little bit longer, but I think Clem actually managed that pretty much perfectly. Alrighty, so SCV Scout is gonna lead the Reaper. I quite like that actually from Clem. Not super common anymore these days. A lot of Terrans like to sit back and just scout with the Reaper, but this is Clem just securing the vision on the other side of the map, so he knows that the route is clear. Especially against somebody like Dark, you never know if he's gonna go for some sort of weird spawning pool first type of build, right? So there's always a chance that he's gonna run Zerglings in the opposite direction. There's 2 lanes on Amygdala. SCV took the main lane. The bottom one, at least the main lane for Clem. Now the Reaper is following that around. SCV going around the other side. All the way back home. Gasless opener once again though for Dark, so this has to be into Roaches once more. Is Clem gonna make any changes? Well, we should see a third command center. Oh, we're not gonna go into a third command center actually. We have a second gas already. We're gonna go into double Hellion production together with a starport. So this is a straight 1-1-1 right here from Clem. Straight barracks, into factory, into starport. Little uncommon actually these days. Most of the time Terran players favor that third command center before the starport. It essentially means that Clem is gonna need to deal some sort of damage early on. We'll have to see what sort of attack he's got lined up, because if Dark gets away with as much greed as he did on El Dorado just now, I mean, he's gonna just have a tremendous economy. It'll be really difficult to stop him. But this could certainly be Cloaked Banshees. Yep, it is going to be Cloaked Banshees. Cloaked Banshees together with Hellions. Not a bad choice. Third command center will start up probably as part of the wall-off or maybe inside of the main base. Since this is a gasless opener, I guess you don't really need to wall off with a command center. Usually you kind of need it at the front. 2 Hellions for 2 drones. Not quite ideal. We're gonna try and finish the job though. Drone's still softened up. It usually takes 3 shots of a Hellion to kill a worker. Yeah. I mean, this is annoying. Maybe he can get some more. Yeah, he gets one more. Slow Links awkwardly chasing this. Drones decide to just finish the job themselves. Alrighty. I would love to see Clem make a bit of a switch up at some point in the mid game, but he just doesn't really do it, right? So if you want to see creative Terran gameplay, we gotta look like we gotta look at Terrans like, for example, Gumiho. Gumiho has been playing a lot of battle cruisers. He's been playing Terran mech. He's been going for a lot of varieties. Not so much Clem. Third command center though, going up right now. As part of the choke point, so look at this, right? We have a near 5-minute start time on the 3rd CC. So, yeah, you're just significantly later. Banshee right now going in, by the way. It's a lot of damage done here, but it's also not been free damage at all. I think Dark can just hold down the drone button and still come out a hit. As cursed as that sounds, I think it's fine. Obviously, he doesn't have a lair. Hellion's going back in for more. Oh, God. Ugh. This is so nasty, man. When you're playing that slow Zergling style, Dark is like, why don't you just stop attacking me? I thought this was 10 minutes, no rush. Different game, Dark. Not really a thing in StarCraft land. Jeez Louise. So, you know, the real ironic part here, we have had 20 workers going down back to back to back to back. And Dark is still ahead. In a very strange way, because of this super delayed 3rd command center and because of this extremely greedy Zerg early game, this was, in a very strange way, the bare minimum. I don't even really know if it's enough. Long story short, if you're watching this and you're a Terran player, go triple CC every game. It's much better. I like the variety here from Clem. It's good to be a bit unpredictable, but if you're a ladder hero, I don't think you really want to be opening like this all too often, unless you believe that you can deal a stupid amount of damage. Yeah. Dark's still at 70 drones. I can't believe he lost 20 workers and still has not really fallen behind economically at all. Alright, so Lair's about to finish. Upgrades are begun. I'm assuming we're gonna go into roach speed as well now. Bada bing, bada boom. We need to go Glider Constitution, Dark. Glider Constitution! There it is. Getting the roach speed going is absolutely critical. Obviously, the follow-up attacks right now from Clem might hit a little bit harder than what they normally would. Oh god. Another infestation pit. Dark. Don't tell me we're gonna go... Don't tell me we're gonna go Swarm Host 2 games in a row. It's... I don't know, man. Okay, now this is good. This follow-up push right here from Clem is actually really nice. I hope for his sake that he's gonna have enough to kill that 4th base. Dark's actually just sort of jumping this with queens and roaches. Killing the queens is a big deal. Ravagers, yeah, are gonna be able to bow down the siege tank, and I think that means that the base will stay alive. Baiting them back towards the spore. Clem decides to back off. Okay. So what is the infestation pit for, Dark? Okay, alright. We're going Hydra then. We're going Hydra then, together with, I guess, a Hive, and then eventually a Lurker then too. This is the Dark version of Standard. It's not entirely Standard, not really fully meta the way that he's getting there, but... Terrans have actually gotten way better at keeping their Banshees alive lately. I think they've been taking a page out of the Protoss' book, where keeping the Oracles around is just so valuable. Those Banshees have been, yeah, worth their weight in gold. Very nice. So, Hive coming up. Link speed now also on the production tab. In the meantime... Really? Hold up right now. Dark just left. I guess he sees this army and he... Okay. Yeah, he sees this army and he's just decided he doesn't want to play. Wow. Yeah, I guess he was gonna lose his 4th base, and he decided that he didn't really want to play it out. He did decide, however, to play another series, spawning right here in the top left-hand corner. Playing with the blue Zerg drones. We have none other than Dark, and his opponent this time around, someone I haven't featured in quite a while. We're looking at Krystianer's main Nexus. Krystianer has been climbing up the ladder, steadily but surely, over the last bunch of years. I believe he's a German/Polish player. I believe he's got, well, I think he lives in Germany, but he is from Poland or vice versa. I'm not exactly sure. But either way, he's a really strong player on the European end of things. Problem for him, though, he's going up against one of the world's best Zergs. Although it does seem to me that Dark is a little bit demoralized. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, looking at that second game, he just sort of left, right? So he left the game and he decided, I don't really want to play this out anymore. Fair enough, because I guess the 4th base was going to go down. But that was certainly also a very early GG. And when you really think about it, yeah, game number 1 was a nice meme. But I can also tell that some people would consider that a throw. There is an argument to be made that that build was never going to work in the first place. Obviously, these are tournament matches. Why bother playing an event if you don't believe that you can play, right, and win? We've had some rage quits, though. Or not necessarily, I don't really want to call it a rage quit, but we have had some early leavings in a lot of the Zerg games that I've been casting as of late. It seems to me that a lot of Zergs just, I don't know, that game was going the distance, right? Like, that was going to the late game. And even Serral, like, remember that series I casted between Serral and Estrella comes to mind, where Serral just left. Like, he just left at, like, 6 base economy, 180 supply. Yeah, he wasn't likely to win, right? Like, that game wasn't looking too great, but he just decided to not play it out. I think a lot of Zerg players right now, at the top of the game, are not really enjoying the late game meta too much, so at least that's my thought process here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll figure something out. But Dark certainly did not want to continue playing that previous match. So I'm assuming that means, though, that we are once more going to see some nice aggression in the mid game from the South Korean Zerg player. It's going to be a Stargate opening here for Krystianer. Nothing out of the ordinary. Stargate, pretty much 10 out of 10 times. We have seen a little bit of variety from some of the European players. Like, for example, that series I casted between Mana and Serral, where Mana ended up going 1 Oracle into straight Archon drops. I do quite like it. Do believe that it becomes a little predictable at some point, but I guess just good old double or triple Oracle, even a Void Ray beginning, is significantly better. It is what most of the Europeans go for, and I'm assuming here Krystianer has been studying those mech specs games. There's certainly some value to be gained. Okay, so let's see. Adept Shades in. Just confirming exactly what's going on, and this is all very, very normal. Zergling speed coming up for Dark. He decided to pull the drones out of gas at just 100. So, trying to make up for some of those more expensive queens. Eventually re-rallies them back in when the Zergling speed finishes up. And that means that he's going to be able to get that lair started at a reasonable time. It is indeed going to be Oracle into Oracle. Very normal timing over here of the 3rd Nexus. It is after a 2nd gateway, so this is the most conventional play. We've seen a lot of variety, I guess, from Protosses as of late, where they either put the pylon as part of the wall off, or they go for a single gateway and then like a 3.5-ish, maybe 335-ish 3rd Nexus. This is the most conventional way to play here for Krystianer. So Oracle into what will probably be another Oracle. One of the Oracles can sit at home for a little while. He decides to just rally it straight across. Dark not making a big influx of links. Obviously, it's Dark, so you never really know. Not using the Stargate for a 3rd Oracle for now, but we could still expect one if he wants to. Can also transition towards the Twilight Council together with a Forge in just a moment. Very focused, though, on trying to micro those Oracles for now. Important to keep them around. Good defense, though, here by Dark. Not really taking any real damage. Yep. So it is going to be a Twilight Council and a Forge right now on the back of it. No 3rd Oracle, so this pylon is likely going to go down. 3rd Oracle could have been parked right over here. I guess the 1st Oracle could have also flown back home. But clean defense here so far by the Zerg player. Not really running into any issues. Okay. Nice little bit of micro. Nothing all too crazy. Ooh, Adepts out of position. That means they can get surrounded. And they will get surrounded. This is actually quite an odd amount of lings at this point in the game. It's Dark we're talking about. Sometimes he shows up. Looks like we've recalled the oracles. I'm assuming I got a recall towards the natural or the main base. Yeah. Recall is indeed on cooldown right now. 3 adepts go down. And that does sort of shut down any sort of adept follow-up. This was supposed to be a group of 5 adepts. It ends up being, well, just the 2 of them. Being sent out to the slaughter. It's a little sad. Yeah. They were gonna hang out with their friends on the other side of the map and probably still die, don't get me wrong, but now they're just going to do very little. Maybe they'll get lucky. Maybe they'll get lucky. These are the getting lucky adepts. Dark hiding Zerglings outside of the shade, and, well, they did not get lucky. Spoiler alert, they dead. They very dead. Scout gonna go in right now here for Dark, and you will see that everything's relatively normal. Double Robo, though. Oh, no. Immediately, we go Nidus Network together with Infestation. I really think in the second game, Dark also, in the previous game we just had a look at against Clem, I really believe Dark wanted to go Swarm Host in that one too. Because it really looked like Swarm Host. This looks like Swarm Host too. Do you think Swarm Hosts are actually good, or are they just like... there's this vibe, so the reason I'm asking, right? Like, there's this vibe where Swarm Hosts are mostly a desperation play. Like, technically they're good, but they are by no means the best strategy to play. But they do usually force a reaction from the opponent, and there's a very real chance that the Swarm Host will force the game to be shorter. So, yeah, there we go again. We are gonna once more make the good old Swarm Host. I want to believe that it's the best choice. Okay, we are gonna go Hive together with a Hydra Den on the back of this. So I do believe eventually we're gonna go into Lurkers. Swarm Host into Lurkers is reasonably normal. Could also just be that Dark is trying out new things, right? Like, yeah, this strategy isn't the best, I don't think. But it's also by no means the worst. And yeah, experimentation is important, right? When you play against other players. Zerglings run around. Oracles, though, have been set up for base defense. Nidus Network straight into the main. Deep into the main base, too. The entirety of the Protoss army, though, decides to commit on the other side of the map. Nidus Worm is gonna go up. Nothing inside of the worm. Congratulations, you got an empty box for your birthday. Happy birthday, Krystianer. Nidus Worm here. What? This isn't co-op, man. Those aren't Omega Worms that, like, can be used for free. Big attack here, though, from Krystianer. Those Zealots and Archons are putting in a lot of work. He's always been a fan of the Zealots. Eventually, though, the Roaches are going to be able to clean this up. And I'm not really a huge fan of this. Dark, it's already right there, man. Dark is going to give his opponent... Ah, finally, he put something inside of the box. Where's those Swarm Hosts go? Did he cancel the Swarm Host? Oh, he made a couple of Swarm Hosts and then decided better of it. I think he noticed his opponent was going for a big attack. He must have canceled the Swarm Hosts. Canceled the entire hotkey worth before they could ever hatch. The saddest life for a Zerg larvae. Oh my god. Well, GG gets cold. Dark doesn't need any of that fancy stuff. Roaches. Roaches will do the trick. Sad little Zerg larva. When you're a little Zerg larva, think about it. You can become anything. You can become a drone. You can become a building. You can become a hatchery. Maybe even the hive. You can become the hive itself. You can become 2 Zerglings or an Ultralisk. Dark, however, turned the guys into a bunch of Swarm Hosts and then decided to just cancel them. By far the worst career path for a drone is to turn into a Swarm Host that gets cancelled. That's kind of sad, really, when you think about it. I hope for the larva's sake that they really don't have a, you know, much of a thought process, right? Like, I can imagine they're not the most intelligent Zerg creatures. But when the world is literally your oyster and you can just do anything, being canceled is pretty mean. It's like Twitter in 2000 and, what was it, 19 or so? Every other day somebody got canceled. Somebody high profile got canceled, man. Like they were swarm hosts in Dark's army. Ugh. Alright, anyways, next up we find ourselves on Whispers of Gold. What went wrong for Krystianer that previous game? Well, he got a little overeager with the push. I don't really think there was a reason for him to go that deep with the aggression. Yeah, charge slots are good at all, and you can send them in combination with Archons, but... I mean, that's the type of build. I like the follow-up push there from Krystianer if he would have done critical amounts of damage in the early game. So if you kill 10 drones, for example, right? If you kill 10 drones with your double or your triple Oracle, and then your Adept swoop in, and they may also contribute to the fight, right? Like, if you have a successful early game, that Archon Zealot push hits like an absolute hammer. It's very difficult for Zerg to hold at that point in time. But when Zerg has a clean early game, loses rarely anything, and then, or barely anything, and then they also kill all of the Adepts for free, and then you go for that follow-up attack? Maybe it works against lower ranked Zergs, but not against the top dogs. So Dark seemingly cleaned that up easily, and then, well, he just, yeah, sent the units through the worm towards the other side of the map. That's another thing the larva could have become, dude. He could have become a Nidus worm. Think about it. I mean, I don't know if it's anybody's dream to become the Nidus worm. But it was technically possible. Dude, I'm pretty sure Protoss players can't resist. There's something inside of the head of every Protoss player. Even though this is technically not even that good of a play, there's something inside of every Protoss player's head that goes, build the pylon. Just freaking build it. He's gonna be so mad. Right? You want to keep, yeah, you want to make them. Dark doesn't care. He just took the base at the bottom. But you gotta try and plant down the pylon. Sometimes you have to stop your inner voice though, because I don't think it's actually an efficient play. 25 minerals, you also delay your own build a little bit. Maybe the timing there kind of worked out for Krystianer. And sometimes being a jerk is all you really need to do. Alrighty. You know what? Maybe being a Nidus worm is not really a promotion when you think about it. EF guys? Yeah, no, I don't want to finish that line of thought. Let's just go and say that there's things in and out of Nidus worms all of the time. I think that's a punishment. Pretty sure that's a punishment. For you, it could be a promotion. Depends on the drone. You'd have to ask the larva, I suppose. But anyways, this is much better here for Krystianer. I don't mind 4 drones for 2 Adepts and also a bunch of forced out links. The only problem is how are you going to take a 3rd Nexus? When you lose those 2 Adepts... Ah. We are not going to make a 3rd Nexus. Well, not yet anyways. So it's a robo facility together with a Twilight Council. Much earlier. I mean, if you can kill the Cybercore before Warp Gate is done, that's basically Protoss. Finished. Not going to happen since Oracle came back home, but... this is a build, though, without a 3rd Nexus. Normal timing for the 3rd Nexus is no later than 350. If you go for a single gate or a pylon in the wall off, you can get it earlier than that. We're already at 440 now, and there's still no 3rd Nexus in sight. Probe is gonna try. But I'm liking this position here for Dark quite a bit. Now keep in mind, Dark did make a large round of links to try and pull this sort of thing off. He's playing this quite cautiously right now, because if you're in Dark's shoes, what do you assume you're going up against? Is it a 2-base all-in? If Dark believes it's a 2-base all-in, he needs to stop droning right now. 52 is honestly too much against the most committed all-ins, but I guess he'll be okay. Yeah, he's just picking this up as a 5-minute 3rd Nexus. So what exactly do we have? It's an Archon drop follow-up. A little bit different than the one that we saw from Mana. The one that Mana went for was a Stargate into Archon drop with a 3rd Nexus. This is an Archon drop that hits quicker, but you now have to essentially make up for like a minute of lost economy. So let's see. Nice thing here for Dark, though, is that he's respecting his opponent enough to not really make too many workers. Like, this is technically one of those games where Dark could have gone straight up to, like, 75 drones. And there's really nothing... there's nothing Krystianer would have been able to do about it. But since there are a lot of flavors of Protoss 2-base all-ins, Dark needs to respect it. Yeah, he can't possibly figure out everything that's inside of the main base. Now he realizes it and he starts droning like a madman. But the end result here is that the Protoss economy is actually, yeah, pretty good compared to that of the Zerg. Yeah, it's either a 20 IQ or a 20 IQ strategy. There's a lot of builds like that in StarCraft 2. Either it's brilliant or it's really dumb. It's dumb and brilliant. How do you... Dumb and brilliant. Doliant. No, that doesn't really work. It's brilliant dump. No, I'm not sure. I feel like there's a better word for it. I've invented many 20, 200 IQ strategies in my life. Yeah. So Dark is responding to this, though, just by going good old Roach Hydra for now. Brump? Brump, I guess, is a good word. I like Brump. Brump is a great way to describe a brilliant dumb strategy. Robo Facility number 2 coming up right now. It looks like we're gonna go into the good old Zealots once more. It's funny, man. I've seen a bunch of Krystianer games. I don't know if he does this every time, but he is a big fan of charge. Every Protoss player under the sun dreams of Blink Stalkers. Not Krystianer. No. Krystianer loves making... Well, he also gets charge. Or, sorry, he also gets Blink, but... He seems to be favoring charge a lot. So this is going to lead into what seems to be an Archon Immortal Zealot Storm army. There's a lot of things Zerg can do to counter it. But again, there's a lot of different flavors of Protoss 3-base play too. So Dark is just trying to cross all of his bases and... Or cover all of his bases, rather, and not really take any chances. So his economy is quite small. Yeah, if Dark knew what the opponent would go for... He could literally go 90 workers, and there's nothing Krystianer could do about it. At that point, Zerg would just outgrow Protoss super hard. Not the case, though, here. For Dark, he's going to go Roach Hydra. Yeah. Good old Roach Hydra, like it's 2010 all over again. Good old Archon Immortal Zealot Storm, though. Like it's 2000 and... Well, maybe not 2010. More like 2013 or so. Took a little while before that caught on, but... This is a good army here for Krystianer. It's just, like, very little micro, you know? Like, you only really get to control your storms. The Zealots just kind of go whichever way they want to go. Zealots over here in the main base are getting shut down. I think he should be able to kill the hatchery here, maybe? It's risky. Yeah, it looks like the prism has disappeared. No, I don't think he's gonna be able to clean up the base. No. I feel like these attacks here from Krystianer, maybe I've been looking at too many mech specs in hero games lately. But they're just a little suboptimal. The control is just not quite there. I think the macro and the strategic decision making is really good, but the micro here could use some work. I mean, the thing is, I say that this is a unit composition that doesn't really have a lot of micro in it. Like, yeah, Storm requires control, but all the other units, you just kind of like attack with, right? It's kind of like a Zerg unit composition. You don't really micro that much. You just kind of choose the moment when you fight and then hit attack. Now, you do have to micro against the Storms, I suppose, but... Most Protoss unit comps at this stage in the game are very Stalker heavy and therefore very micro heavy too. I like the couple of links here just to bait out additional storms. Fourth Nexus is unlikely to make it. We have 2 oracles, or we had 2 oracles. Actually, has this been a single oracle this entire time? Yeah, he ended up losing it. Wait, no, am I crazy? No, yeah, it's just a single oracle over here, so not a lot of stasises. Zealot runby at the bottom of the map has also been cleared out. Fourth Nexus, though, is going to get cancelled right now. Maybe he can sort of cut off this army, but it's starting to look a little bit awkward. We're just kind of walking circles around each other. And still, Even though this is a funky game here. Oh, God. Sentry, force field something. This is still not a big economy here for Dark. He's playing this like he's got infinite money and he's never gonna run out of cash. There's multiple engagements happening right now. Photon cannon inside of the main base mineral line. He was a little afraid of a potential transition towards Mutalisks. Not the case, though. Looks like the push from Protoss has been denied just because he decided to recall his own army. I wonder if maybe he could have committed there, because Dark's actually halfway to a lurker transition right now. It means that the roaches and the hydras that jumped into the natural are going to be able to kill a lot of probes and then also finish the nexus. And that is a good chunk of damage done. Yeah, I think he should have doubled down on the aggression, because now, next time he grows across the map, he's going to be facing off against lurkers. There's not that many of them, but the Oracle has died. There's no observer up in the air. There is no detection. No detection at all. Observer coming up right now, but there's a bunch of spore crawlers. This is why keeping those oracles alive is so pivotal. Now he's going to see the spines coming out of the ground. There's not that many lurkers, and I actually think the Immortals and the Archons could tank against it and kill them pretty easily, especially with some well-placed storms. But if you can't see them, what are you going to do? How do you fight invisible units? I quite like those queens transfusing the spore crawler here. Yeah, Dark's just dancing. He's counter-attacking, trying to be a nuisance, but he knows that the Protoss economy is so bad at this point that he needs to do something. There's triple observer now, though, so we use the robo facilities to make as many observers as possible. That means that Krystianer is now going to have to go across the map and effectively win the game with one army. This is basically the same army, though, that he had when he first went across, right? When he decided to recall to counter a couple of roaches and hydras. Now the lurker count is looking insane. At the time, it was just a bunch of unupgraded units from the Zerg, right? Like, no lurkers at all yet. Looks like the natural expansion is still wide open. One saving grace here is that Dark hasn't seen that base up there, down on the low ground. Up in the top right-hand corner, Dark decides to give up on a hatch. I think that's smart. Especially since he believes that there's not much economy anymore for Protoss. This probe is gonna guide his little Zergling towards the base, it seems. And this is where we're gonna commit. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Oh my god, those swarms are good. But the entirety of the Protoss army has just disappeared. Turns out the Immortals aren't so immortal after all. GG gets gold, and Dark obtains the win.